On the mountainside, Yang Zhan, the eldest of the Yang brothers, sneered as he looked at Lin Dong, who was suspended in midair. He mocked, "Heh, kids these days get bolder by the minute. Boy, I don't care where you came from, but here, no one cares who you are. If you lose your life in this place, no one will know or care how it happened. If you know what's good for you, scram on your own. If you anger the second master of the Yang family, you'll find dying to be the least of your worries." Yang Wei added with a vicious grin. Lin Dong's gaze remained cold as he looked at the two sneering men. Without wasting words on them, he raised the crimson cauldron in his hand, which suddenly erupted with a radiant red glow. The cauldron expanded rapidly, transforming into a colossal object spanning several dozen meters. This cauldron, of course, was the Heaven-Burning Cauldron, which Lin Dong had acquired from the old Heaven-Burning Elder. It was a genuine, pure, primordial treasure. Lin Dong had witnessed its power firsthand, seeing it even shake the terrifying black mist creatures. However, he wasn't yet capable of unleashing its full power like the Elder, so the cauldron's size was far less imposing than when the Elder wielded it. Even so, as the crimson cauldron expanded, scorching heat waves surged outward, instantly raising the temperature of the entire area. Whoosh! With a wave of Lin Dong's sleeve, a surge of primordial energy poured into the Heaven-Burning Cauldron, causing flames to ignite within it, growing more ferocious with every moment. When the Heaven-Burning Elder had passed the cauldron to Lin Dong, he had erased all his marks on it, allowing Lin Dong to control it effortlessly. While he couldn't use it as masterfully as the Elder, Lin Dong didn't find wielding it awkward. The faces of the Yang brothers twitched slightly as they felt the intense heat emanating from the cauldron. But soon, greed gleamed in their eyes. A pure primordial treasure. Both brothers licked their lips, their gazes now even more intense than when they had laid eyes on Ling Qingzhu earlier. Having roamed the alien demon region for years, they had sharp eyes. It was clear at a glance that the cauldron in Lin Dong's hand was no ordinary treasure. "Lucky brat," Yang Zhan sneered. "No wonder you dared act so cocky in front of us with a treasure like that. But now that you've shown it, there's no need for you to leave alive." Yang Wei snickered as well, his formidable primordial energy beginning to surge from his body, his malicious gaze fixed on Lin Dong. "You want to steal this treasure? Then let's see if you've got what it takes." Lin Dong smiled coldly, fully aware of the brothers' sudden greed. His eyes, however, grew even more chilling. "Boy, you won't be so tough in a minute." Yang Zhan sneered. The brothers exchanged glances before simultaneously transforming into black shadows, charging toward Lin Dong. Their fists slammed through the air, sending two ferocious blasts of wind directly at him. Clearly, the Yang brothers had no intention of testing the waters with their attacks. Despite knowing Lin Dong had reached the 8th Nirvana stage, they didn't underestimate him. Instead, they attacked in tandem, a strategy they had relied on during their years in the alien demon region. They had seen many arrogant opponents fall due to overconfidence. These types of opponents were always the trickiest. Witnessing this, Lin Dong's eyes narrowed slightly. He realized these two, despite their detestable behavior, had a dangerous mindset that made them formidable in battle. Boom! The azure dragon wings unfurled behind Lin Dong, sending him flying backward. As he retreated, his hands formed a series of seals, and a crimson pillar of flame shot out from the Heaven-Burning Cauldron, obliterating the two blasts of wind. What a powerful strike! The Yang brothers were momentarily surprised to see Lin Dong, using the power of the 8th Nirvana stage and the Heaven-Burning Cauldron, easily block their attack. However, their astonishment was quickly replaced by even deeper greed. "Let's take him down." With a roar, the brothers surged forward, appearing on either side of Lin Dong in an instant. Their hands lashed out, releasing a torrent of icy, sinister essence spirit energy aimed directly at Lin Dong's vital points. Soul-severing palm. Vast, dark energy gathered in their palms, creating shadows and fierce winds as the attack closed in on Lin Dong. Azure light erupted from Lin Dong's body, and in an instant, dragon scales flashed across his arms and legs. He clenched his fists, and a torrent of primordial energy surged from within him without hesitation. Bang! The icy, sinister essence spirit energy collided with Lin Dong's fearsome azure dragon fist, unleashing a wild storm of force. Lin Dong was knocked back several dozen steps, but the azure light flickered across his body, blocking the invasive energy. What a thrill! Lin Dong couldn't help but laugh as he stabilized himself. Now that he had entered the 8th Nirvana stage, his power had grown tremendously, and with the strength of his body, enhanced by the Azure Dragon transformation art, he was able to go toe-to-toe with opponents who were nearly at the Life Mystique stage. This kid's body is insanely tough. After exchanging blows with Lin Dong, the Yang brothers' expressions shifted slightly. They had clearly realized the extent of Lin Dong's physical strength. Enough dragging this out. We need to finish him quickly. The brothers' eyes locked for a brief moment before dark, ominous primordial energy surged from their bodies. Behind them, a massive shadow began to form, releasing an overwhelming aura. Boy, my brother and I once ventured into the ancient vault, where we obtained some powerful ancient martial arts. Consider yourself lucky to experience them, even if it means you'll die today. The enormous shadow behind the Yang brothers condensed further, brimming with terrifying power. Lin Dong's eyes narrowed as he felt the immense pressure from the shadow. Even with his body covered in dragon scales, he could feel a faint, stinging sensation. It was clear that the martial arts the Yang brothers were about to use were far from ordinary. Where did these two get such powerful techniques? Lin Dong's mind raced as he pondered the situation. The shadow solidified behind the brothers, and with a deep roar, they bellowed, "Martial Emperor Codex, Destructive Breaker Fist." As their voices fell, an ancient fist shot forth from the shadow, engraved with archaic patterns and radiating a strange energy. The fist ripped through space, sealing off all of Lin Dong's escape routes with terrifying force. Lin Dong's gaze grew grave as he watched the ancient fist tear through the void toward him. Suddenly, a torrent of azure light surged from his body, transforming into the shape of a massive azure dragon. The dragon whipped its tail, slamming fiercely into the ancient fist. Boom! A violent surge of primordial energy erupted, sweeping wildly across the battlefield. Lin Dong's body was thrown backward, crashing hard against the mountainside, causing deep cracks to spiderweb out from where he landed. Though he appeared a bit disheveled as he steadied himself, Lin Dong quickly lifted his head and locked his fiery gaze on the two young brothers hovering in midair. A grin spread across his face. Good. That martial Emperor Codex. I'll gladly take it off your hands. As his words fell, Lin Dong's hand seal changed, causing the heaven-burning cauldron suspended in the air to spin rapidly. Suddenly, a fiery light array burst forth, instantly enveloping the two young brothers. At the same time, a terrifying energy wave began to spread from the array. Sensing the overwhelming power of the wave, fear instantly crept across the faces of Yang Zhan and Yang Wei. This was none other than the Heaven-Scorching Formation hidden within the heaven-burning cauldron. The fiery array swept down from above, enveloping the Yang brothers completely. Flames roared skyward, and the searing heat melted the enormous rocks embedded in the mountainside. The Heaven-Scorching Formation was one of the heaven-burning cauldron's deadly moves. If Lin Dong were stronger, he could have drawn his opponents directly into the cauldron, activating the full might of the formation. At that point, even experts of the Life Mystique stage would be reduced to ashes inside. However, Lin Dong wasn't yet powerful enough to achieve that. Moreover, he had only recently obtained the heaven-burning cauldron, so he wasn't entirely familiar with its workings. Nevertheless, even this weakened version of the Heaven-Scorching Formation was more than enough to leave Yang Zhan and Yang Wei in a miserable state. As the fiery array enclosed them, scarlet flames surged forth like flaming pythons, forming a fiery prison around the brothers. Trapped inside, the faces of Yang Zhan and Yang Wei shifted with unease as they felt the searing waves of heat emanating from the array. Even they were shocked by the intensity. Let's break this formation together. The two exchanged glances before nodding resolutely. With a roar, their combined primordial energy surged forth, unleashing two fierce palm strikes aimed at the same spot in the array. Boom! A dull thud echoed through the air, but their attack barely made a dent. The flame formation held strong, as sturdy as an iron fortress. What a powerful formation! Their expressions darkened further, and a flicker of fear finally appeared in their eyes. Anxiety began to well up in their hearts. Hovering in the air, Lin Dong looked down coldly at the two trapped within the formation, the glint in his eyes growing even sharper. Now, let's see how you like the true power of the Heaven-Scorching Formation. As his words fell, Lin Dong's hand seals changed again. Instantly, towering flames surged within the formation, unleashing wave after wave of violently scorching energy. The intense heat spread through the formation, causing the faces of the Yang brothers to flush red. Panic surged within them as they realized that the heat was actually seeping into their bodies, as if trying to ignite the primordial energy within them. What a sinister formation, one of them muttered in fear. It was clear this was their first time encountering such a terrifying array. The waves of energy were disrupting their control over their primordial energy. Sweat began to drip from their foreheads as they desperately circulated their energy to fend off the invading heat. At this critical moment, any disruption in their bodies could spell certain death. Boom! As they struggled to resist, the towering flames within the formation swiftly condensed into two flame tornadoes. The destructive energy radiating from them was truly terrifying. Go! With a cold gleam in his eye, Lin Dong pointed forward, and the two flame tornadoes roared down like giant pythons, hurtling toward the Yang brothers. The terrifying heat waves became even more intense. The brothers, alarmed, quickly retreated, their bodies surging with primordial energy as they formed hand seals. Once again, the dark gray shadows appeared behind them. Humph! However, just as the shadows began to form, Lin Dong sneered. With a squeeze of his hand, the violent waves of heat intensified. A loud boom echoed through the air, and the shadows behind the brothers exploded before they could fully materialize. Within the Heaven-Scorching Formation, even attempting to use martial techniques was heavily disrupted. Boom! The interruption of their technique left the Yang brothers defenseless as the flame tornadoes struck them head-on. A dull thud reverberated through the air as their bodies were sent flying, crashing into the flaming walls of the array. The searing heat from the walls immediately burned their faces red, leaving them gasping for breath. Now that you've entered this formation, any thoughts of escaping are futile, Lin Dong said with a calm smile as he looked at the disheveled brothers. He was pleasantly surprised by the power of the Heaven-Scorching Formation. The heaven-burning cauldron truly lived up to its reputation as a pure primordial treasure. If Lin Dong had fought the Yang brothers directly, it would have been a tough battle. But now, he had gained the upper hand with ease. Furthermore, within the Heaven-Scorching Formation, the scorching waves continuously eroded the brothers' primordial energy. The longer they stayed trapped, the faster their energy would drain. If this continued, they would soon be completely exhausted, left with no strength to resist. Inside the formation, the faces of the Yang brothers grew increasingly grim as they finally realized the severity of their situation. With the formation constantly disrupting their energy, even using martial techniques had become almost impossible, stripping them of a large portion of their combat abilities. Boy, fine. We brothers admit defeat this time. We won't interfere in this matter anymore. How about we end this peacefully? Yang Zhan growled, his eyes dark as he stared at Lin Dong. Lin Dong gave a mocking smile. Do I look like some greenhorn on his first adventure? Don't get cocky. Yang Wei barked. We were caught off guard, but if we really went all out, you wouldn't be walking away unscathed. Lin Dong chuckled at their defiance. Then, with a casual tone, he said, I could consider letting you go, but on one condition. Hand over the martial emperor Codex. You're dreaming. Yang Wei's face twisted with rage. We risked our lives to steal that from the ancient vault, and you want it? Trade it for your cauldron. Lin Dong sighed lightly. It seems you still don't understand your situation. With a flick of his finger, the flames within the Heaven-Scorching Formation surged even higher. You. Feeling the increasingly violent heat within the formation, both Yang Zhan and Yang Wei realized that their primordial energy was draining faster and faster. Their expressions darkened considerably. Fine, I'll give you the Martial Emperor Codex, but you must let us go. Yang Zhan gritted his teeth and called out suddenly, "Big brother." Yang Wei was taken aback when he heard this, about to protest, but Yang Zhan stopped him with a wave of his hand. A gleam flashed in Yang Zhan's eyes as he said, "Our lives are what matter most." Seeing this, Yang Wei's eyes briefly flickered with malice before he nodded in agreement. Lin Dong watched the exchange with a smile, but a trace of coldness flashed in his eyes as well. With a grasp of his hand, Yang Zhan summoned a piece of black jade, which floated out of his palm. He flicked his arm, and the black jade shot out as a streak of black light toward Lin Dong. Whoosh! The black jade darted out of the formation and appeared in front of Lin Dong in a flash. Lin Dong smiled faintly and reached out to grab it. Boom! Just as Lin Dong made his move, a cold smile flashed in Yang Zhan's heart. His hand seal changed, causing the black jade to explode. A faint golden shadow shot out from the explosion with lightning speed, carrying a sharp, dangerous wave of energy aimed directly at Lin Dong's throat. Essence spirit? That's a bit too weak, don't you think? The sudden change didn't faze Lin Dong at all. He raised an eyebrow, but didn't show the slightest sign of panic. Instead, he grinned and with a thought, a golden light shot out from his body, crashing heavily into the faint golden shadow. Bang! A muffled sound echoed as the golden light from Lin Dong collided with the incoming shadow, sending it flying backward. The golden light dimmed rapidly, eventually revealing a small, palm-sized golden figure. The figure resembled Yang Zhan and was clearly the essence spirit he had cultivated, but it was weak and insubstantial compared to Lin Dong's own essence spirit. "You've cultivated an essence spirit too?" Yang Zhan's expression changed dramatically when his sneak attack failed. He stared in shock at the solid golden essence spirit floating in front of Lin Dong, clearly far more powerful than his own. Damn it! Yang Zhan cursed through gritted teeth, immediately trying to recall his essence spirit. "If you've already summoned it, why take it back?" Lin Dong chuckled. With a sweep of his hand, a streak of black light shot from his palm, transforming into a black vortex in front of Yang Zhan's essence spirit. The vortex's devouring power surged, and with a gulp, it swallowed the essence spirit whole. Puff! As his essence spirit was devoured, Yang Zhan's face turned deathly pale in an instant. He spat out a mouthful of blood, his aura rapidly weakening, and terror spread across his features. The devouring ancestral talisman? His horrified voice trembled as he spoke, immediately recognizing the black light's origin. His sharp eyes had discerned Lin Dong's use of the infamous devouring ancestral talisman in a single glance. "Good eye," Lin Dong replied with a light smile, retracting the devouring ancestral talisman. Then, he looked down at the two brothers trapped in the Heaven-Scorching Formation, his voice suddenly cold. "It's been long enough. Time for you two to join the others below." With those words, the smile on Lin Dong's face disappeared, replaced by an icy expression. His hands moved rapidly, and the Heaven-Scorching Formation began spinning wildly. In the next moment, an overwhelming flame, as fierce as molten lava, erupted within the formation, engulfing Yang Zhan and Yang Wei. Ah! Their agonizing screams pierced the air as the lava-like flames surged. The violent flames roared through the sky, so hot they melted a massive section of the mountainside into nothingness. Lin Dong stood with a cold expression, watching as the flames raged. After a while, the screams gradually faded until they vanished completely. Along with the end of their screams, the auras of the two brothers completely disappeared. The flames continued to burn for a while longer before finally subsiding. When the last of the flames flickered out, only two piles of ash remained where Yang Zhan and Yang Wei had once stood. Two half-step life mystique stage experts had been burned to ashes by the Heaven-Scorching Formation. Truly worthy of being called a pure primordial treasure, Lin Dong murmured to himself as he smacked his lips. The power of the heaven-burning cauldron was immense, possibly even greater than the heavenly phoenix zither wielded by Huan Huan. However, it does consume a lot of energy. Lin Dong clenched his hand, noting that while the formation hadn't been active for long, It had drained a considerable amount of his primordial energy. Clearly, while pure primordial treasures were powerful, not just anyone could wield them freely. It was no wondering Huan looked so exhausted when using the heavenly phoenix ether. As the fiery array dispersed, the two cosmic bags Yang Zhan and Yang Wei had been carrying appeared, floating in midair. Clearly, Lin Dong had been keeping an eye on the situation inside the formation all along. Given his interest in the Martial Emperor Codex held by the brothers, he had spared no effort to protect their cosmic bags. Otherwise, they would have been reduced to ashes along with their owners in the Heaven-Scorching Formation. With a wave of his hand, the two cosmic bags flew into Lin Dong's grasp. His mind reached out, and his spiritual energy penetrated the bags. Usually, these cosmic bags would be protected by a spiritual imprint from their owners. However, now that Yang Zhan and Yang Wei, along with their essence spirits, had been reduced to ash, their spiritual imprints had naturally vanished. Lin Dong's spiritual energy easily bypassed any resistance and began searching the contents. The bags were filled with a chaotic array of items, but there were quite a few valuable treasures. However, few of the martial arts techniques inside caught Lin Dong's eye. After searching for about 10 minutes, Lin Dong finally found a piece of gray-black jade. A faint, mysterious energy pulsed from the jade, and Lin Dong immediately recognized it. It was the same energy as the martial arts the brothers had used earlier. This must be it. Lin Dong's eyes gleamed with joy as he held the gray-black jade. He could feel the immense power of the Martial Emperor Codex contained within. This martial art had clearly reached the level of a heavenly martial art, although it was clear that Yang Zhan and Yang Wei hadn't fully mastered it. If they had, Lin Dong's battle with them would have been far more difficult, even with the aid of the heaven-burning cauldron. Gripping the jade tightly, Lin Dong's mind connected with it, and his spiritual energy quickly poured inside. Buzz. The moment his energy entered the jade, a sharp buzzing erupted in Lin Dong's mind. His vision went black, and in an instant, the scenery around him transformed into a vast starry sky. Though the sudden shift caught him off guard, Lin Dong didn't panic. He understood that this was a spiritual imprint left within the jade. As Lin Dong quietly focused, the starry sky before him began to distort. Slowly, a figure emerged from the distorted space. As the figure approached, Lin Dong saw that the man was dressed in gray robes, standing tall like a mountain. He wasn't particularly handsome, but an imposing aura radiated from him. In this moment, his brilliance seemed to outshine even the boundless starry sky around him. The figure stood beneath the starry sky, then took a step forward, fists moving fluidly. A profound martial art was displayed as he shifted gracefully, like flowing clouds and water. In that moment, it seemed as if the entire sky trembled with his movements. As the martial art unfolded, a low, raspy voice echoed through the vast starry space, ancient and heavy. My life is divided into 3 phases. In the first phase, I fought 3,800 battles, winning none. In the second phase, I fought 5,300 battles, losing 5,000. Hearing this, Lin Dong was utterly stunned. This senior had fought more than 9,000 battles and only won 300. He was truly the embodiment of persistence in the face of defeat. But in the final phase, I fought 8,000 battles and lost 10. Lin Dong was once again dumbfounded by the next sentence. He took a deep breath, astonished by the stark difference. To fight 8,000 battles and lose only 10. This transformation was nothing short of extraordinary. This man was indeed a battle-hungry warrior, and Lin Dong could only listen in amazement. Upon reflection, he realized that the senior's earlier failures were likely due to his gradual accumulation of experience and strength. Through countless battles, he must have honed his skills, and by the time he reached the final phase, he had undoubtedly earned the title of a true master. It was no wonder so few could defeat him at that point. Of course, Lin Dong was also curious about the identities of the 10 people who had managed to defeat this battle-hardened senior. Toward the end of my life, others bestowed upon me the title of Martial Emperor. I absorbed various martial arts and created my own, the Martial Emperor Codex. In the War of Heaven and Earth, I slew 3 generals and gravely wounded a king. Though I fell, I did so proudly with honor. By now, Lin Dong's expression had turned solemn, and a hint of awe crept into his heart. This martial emperor was truly a peerless figure. To slay 3 generals and injure a king in battle with just his martial art. Such accomplishments made him one of the strongest warriors of ancient times. Lin Dong had some understanding of these generals and kings from what he had encountered before. The black mist creatures the heaven-burning elder had suppressed were likely of the general class, while the entity sealed within the great wilderness monument was of the king class. Though the martial emperor had fallen after such a feat, his power had undoubtedly reached a terrifyingly high level. The martial emperor Codex is difficult to master. If any descendant should obtain my martial art, they shall not claim my legacy unless they reach full mastery. The final words echoed with a powerful arrogance. Clearly, the martial emperor had been a proud individual who didn't want his art to fall into the hands of mediocre practitioners and have its brilliance dulled. As these words fell, the figure beneath the starry sky reached the final movement of his martial arts routine. With a final punch, the entire sky trembled, and the stars collapsed, crashing down like a meteor shower. Lin Dong let out a deep breath, his eyes filled with awe. The title of martial emperor was certainly well-deserved. Such martial arts falling into the hands of the likes of Yang Zhan and Yang Wei was truly a waste of their potential. As the stars fell, the space around Lin Dong began to collapse. The surroundings shifted, and his vision returned to the skies above the valley. Such a treasure! Lin Dong stood there for a moment, clutching the jade tablet with a smile. The martial art that the figure had demonstrated was now firmly imprinted in his mind. Its grandeur surpassed even the great wilderness imprisoning sky hand that Lin Dong had been practicing. This unexpected gain had far exceeded his expectations. Martial Emperor, I won't let your art go to waste, Lin Dong muttered quietly. The martial emperor had his pride, and so did Lin Dong. Though he didn't aim to compare himself to the martial emperor, now that the art had fallen into his hands, he would ensure it reached its full potential. With these words, Lin Dong flipped his hand and placed the jade tablet into his cosmic bag. Then, his body descended from midair, coming to a seated position beside the Taiching immortal pool, waiting for Ling Qingzhu to finish healing. Half an hour passed quickly as Lin Dong sat there quietly, but over time, his brow began to furrow. His eyes narrowed as they locked onto the eerily still surface of the Taiching immortal pool. It's too calm. As time dragged on, another half hour passed. Finally, Lin Dong stood up, his expression growing more serious as he stared at the pool. Something's not right? With his eyes flashing, Lin Dong hesitated for a moment beside the Taiching immortal pool before making up his mind. His body moved, and he leapt directly into the pool with a splash that echoed through the quiet valley. The moment Lin Dong entered the pool, he felt an incredibly pure and unique energy surge toward him from all directions, continuously flowing into his body. Under the influence of this energy, Lin Dong felt a faint, tingling sensation spread within him. However, the tingling wasn't painful in the usual sense. Instead, it came with a subtle sense of comfort, similar to the sensation of wounds being healed. This is an incredibly powerful healing effect. A look of surprise flashed across Lin Dong's face, which quickly turned to joy as he realized that the source of the tingling sensation was old injuries hidden deep within his body. Over the years, Lin Dong had been through countless life and death battles. He had accumulated many injuries, both large and small. While his formidable body had allowed him to heal from severe wounds relatively quickly, there were always some lingering internal injuries. These minor injuries had built up over time, hidden so deep that even Lin Dong had difficulty detecting them. Though they didn't affect him much in the short term, if left unchecked, they could become a serious problem in the future. Now, as Lin Dong felt the hidden injuries within him dissolve under the influence of the Taiching immortal pool's energy, he couldn't help but feel a wave of relief. It seemed that this unexpected dip into the pool had fortuitously helped him resolve a problem that might have troubled him in the future. Letting out a quiet sigh of relief, Lin Dong subtly released a trace of devouring power, causing the energy flowing into his body to increase significantly. Seeing this, he decided not to think too much about it, and allowed his primordial energy to flow through his eyes as he began to search for Ling Qingzhu's figure within the pool. Where is she? Even underwater, Lin Dong could see clearly. But to his surprise, there was no trace of Ling Qingzhu within the pool. Did she go deeper? Lin Dong's gaze shifted downward, toward the dark, murky depths of the pool. He frowned slightly but, after a moment of hesitation, he pushed off the bottom with his feet and dove deeper, enveloped in a glow of azure light. Although the Taiching Immortal Pool wasn't large in surface area, its depths were unexpectedly vast. Moreover, there were numerous twisting pathways and intricate terrains down below, making the pool structure exceptionally complex. Lin Dong's figure moved swiftly through the underwater passages, his spiritual energy fully activated, guiding him as he adjusted his direction based on the faint sensations he picked up. His search continued for more than 10 minutes without any results, causing his brow to furrow more and more tightly. Something wasn't right about this situation. Just as an uneasy feeling began creeping into his heart, Lin Dong's expression changed. His expanded spiritual energy seemed to detect something. His gaze immediately shifted to the lower left, and his body darted forward, cutting through the water with a sharp sound. Lin Dong moved quickly, and within a few minutes, he arrived at the location where he had sensed the disturbance. There, at the bottom of the pool, a cluster of emerald green light, as radiant as jade, was glowing brightly. Within the glow, a figure curled up, her naked body as smooth as white jade, with long black hair cascading down her back. From a distance, she looked like a mermaid peacefully asleep beneath the water. This delicate figure was none other than Ling Qingzhu, who had entered the Taiching Immortal Pool. Finally found her. Seeing Ling Qingzhu, Lin Dong let out a heavy sigh of relief. However, his eyes quickly narrowed as he focused on something beneath her. At the bottom of the pool, emerald green beams of light were shooting out, connecting to the glowing sphere surrounding Ling Qingzhu. Something's definitely off. Lin Dong's expression turned grim. He waved his sleeve, sending a gust of force through the water, sweeping away the silt at the bottom of the pool. As the sediment cleared, a white skeletal figure came into view, lying flat on the ground. The skeleton emitted a faint glow, and the emerald green beams of light were radiating from the bones, connecting to the energy around Ling Qingzhu. Moreover, with each pulse of light, something seemed to be flowing out of Ling Qingzhu's body and into the skeleton. Lin Dong's eyes locked onto the skeleton, and he noticed a faint green glow swirling within its dark, hollow eye sockets. The skeleton was draining Ling Qingzhu's life force. Lin Dong's pupils contracted sharply, and with a sudden motion, his hand formed a blade and chopped down viciously toward the green light beams. Buzz. However, the sharp strike, powerful enough to split rock, did nothing to the beams. Instead, it was deflected harmlessly away. Lin Dong's expression changed, and he immediately swam to the source of the beams. With a surge of devouring power in his palm, he grabbed onto the green beams. Sizzle. As Lin Dong's hand clutched the beams, white mist rose from them. His devouring power permeated the beams, swallowing up the energy flowing between the skeleton and Ling Qingzhu. Crack. At last, the green beams dimmed rapidly, and with a few crisp sounds, they shattered and disintegrated. With the beams broken, the glow around Ling Qingzhu's body faded, though she remained unconscious, her eyes still closed. Lin Dong swam forward, reaching out to pull Ling Qingzhu's naked body into his arms. The sensation of her cold, smooth skin made his heart race, and his gaze briefly flicked over her before he took a deep breath. He quickly retrieved a large robe, wrapping it around her to cover the seductive figure that was stirring an unwanted heat within him. Though the robe quickly became soaked and clung tightly to Ling Qingzhu's body, outlining her already alluring curves even more, it was still better than leaving her exposed. Holding her soft body in his arms, Lin Dong had no time to dwell on inappropriate thoughts. His eyes remained alert as he watched the skeleton below, which was now trembling strangely. Suddenly, it began to rise from the silt, its entire frame shaking. In the dark eye sockets, faint glimmers of light flickered ominously. A chill ran down Lin Dong's spine as he observed the trembling skeleton. Judging by the ancient aura seeping from it, this relic undoubtedly came from an ancient era. Though Lin Dong had encountered other ancient entities before, this was the first time he had seen one that had decayed into a skeleton and was still capable of such movement. Just how powerful was this being's will to continue existing even after so many centuries? Lin Dong's gaze grew heavy as he prepared to leave with Ling Qingzhu. But just as he was about to retreat, the skeleton suddenly froze in place. A moment later, its bones began to crack, and with a final loud boom, the entire skeleton disintegrated into dust and vanished. As the skeleton turned to ash, Lin Dong faintly heard a voice filled with boundless regret echo through the depths of the pool, lingering for a brief moment before fading away. Staring at the scene in stunned silence, Lin Dong's eyes flickered thoughtfully. It seemed that the skeleton had reached its limit, and the voice he had heard was likely its final lament before completely disappearing from existence. Buzz. As Lin Dong quietly let out a sigh of relief, a flash of green light suddenly appeared where the skeleton had dissolved. With a soft whoosh, the green light shot across the pool, heading straight toward Lin Dong. Lin Dong's senses went on high alert as he watched the green light approach. As it neared, he realized that it was an intricate spirit seal. Within the seal, he could feel an immense, boundless energy surging. A spirit seal? Lin Dong muttered in surprise, his eyes narrowing. A spirit seal was a rare and precious treasure formed from the life essence of an immensely powerful expert. Back in the ancient space, Su Ro had achieved her current success thanks to a spirit seal she had acquired. And that was only the beginning of its power. Even Lin Dong's heart raced slightly at the sight of such a treasure. However, just as he was about to reach out and grab it, the green light dodged his hand and, to his astonishment, darted straight into Ling Qingzhu's body. "It wasn't meant for me, I suppose," Lin Dong said with a wry smile. Such a grand opportunity had once again slipped through his fingers. With a brief moment of self-deprecation, Lin Dong prepared to leave with Ling Qingzhu. But just as he was about to move, he felt her body stir in his arms. He glanced down and saw her eyes slowly open, her face flushed a fiery red. Their gazes met beneath the water, and a heavy, awkward silence descended between them. Neither of them spoke as they stared at each other in the depths of the pool.